Hello, Legal Eagles. Long time no see. We did have classes over the summer, and some of you decided to work with us, and they are having their holidays right now. But those of you who are wishing to join our courses right now and are wondering what those courses could look like, it's the first time ever we've been running those online courses. Here is a video for you to find out. So, first things first, all the classes will be online this year for obvious reasons. And something surprising, the classes will start with contract law. So whether you're doing the foundation course or the introduction to legal English, or even the TOLS advanced classes, all of them will be contract law. You have asked us specifically to start with these classes as there is an increasing need to work with contracts and its vocabulary. The course book is always the same, Lawyers English Language Course Book. Yes, this is the heavy book. But please remember, this is only a fraction of all the materials that we offer. Our courses, online courses, will be based on 4 pillars. We have been working on them for the last 6 months. We have taken into consideration your suggestions, and this is what we have arrived at. First of all, vocabulary lists. We will start every course and every class with a vocabulary list that will allow you to see those words and their proper translation for this particular unit, so that you are familiar with the words before you embark on a text or a task. Second of all, recordings of vocabulary lists. A lot of you enjoyed it a lot. Traveling to work in a car or just even ironing at home, you can be listening to the words with the correct pronunciation. So the moment you start reading a text in a course book or answering the questions, you know exactly, first of all, what the word is, what its proper meaning in this context is, and how to pronounce it. The main focus is written and oral communication, and all these steps lead to it. We believe in the maxim, repetition is the mother of all skill. You know that, right? All this will lead to us having a look at many authentic contracts and many authentic clauses, because this is what you need at work. So, you may be wondering, what would a contract law course look like? Well, perhaps we could have a look at the foundation course, just as an example. The style of written legal English, page 193, there is a list of features of English contracts: long sentences, unusual structures, old-fashioned language, long lists of synonyms, too many words, no punctuation, the passive voice, technical words, legalese. You may have heard all about them, or at least seen them in the contracts, but what do they boil down to? Immediately, we will move on to some authentic material or a provision or a clause, and then it becomes obvious. This one it's at the courtesy of Barta and Kaliński Law Firm, Intellectual Property Law Language Training for IP Student 2020. Have a look. Developed material will be deemed to be, obviously, this is passive voice. Then look at the next sentence. To the extent that any such developed material is not deemed to be a work made for hire and the property of TSL by operation of law, supplier, so this is our subject. This is the weird structure of a sentence in a contract. Supplier irrevocably assigns, transfers, and conveys to TSL. Look, 3 words. So these are those infamous strings of words: assign, transfer, and convey. Basically, it means to sell or to transfer. Right, title, and interest below. Again, it means most probably the ownership. Let's have a look at the next sentence. Supplier shall execute such documents. To execute, this is an example of a technical word. To execute in legal English means to draw up and sign. It's important to remember that to understand the sentence. Another expression, technical expression, to perfect TSL's ownership. Take such actions as TSL may reasonably request to perfect TSL's ownership of developed materials. To perfect means to make effective against third parties. In Poland, this is a matter of course. If you sell a piece of land, you must do it at a notary's office, and the notary in his or her capacity as officer of state will register the transaction. In Anglo-Saxon countries, it's not that obvious. So you may be asked to perfect the ownership, which means to register it. For example, registration as a way of perfection is one of generally speaking, of 3 ways of perfecting ownership interests. So, as you can see, all the material will be based on those authentic clauses. It will be easy to understand. Now, a vocabulary list, a typical sample list for the course foundation course. Unit 6, Contract Law, Understanding Contracts. A business that involves the manufacture of products. Involves, an extremely useful word that you need. A party that wishes to, this funny structure, you may put it in your contract actually. A will, obviously you know that, but how about point 4, acknowledge, to acknowledge receipt. Quite useful if you're buying on the Amazon. Aggregate, for an aggregate of 12 weeks. Quite unusual, but you may come across it in your contracts. Agreement. Under this agreement, hereunder, this infamous legalese, hereunder, the structure you come across in the English contracts. So, all in all, our online courses will be highly structured because only in this way you will be able to effectively learn to communicate, precisely of course. Our online courses will rely a lot on repetition, listening, repetition, speaking, repetition, and communication repetition. And we will encourage you all throughout the course to repeat, repeat, and repeat. And hopefully, after 10 weeks of this very intensive course, you will feel the difference in the way you communicate with clients in English, you draft contracts, or that you notice meaning that before was obscured or vague, invisible, because you just didn't know how legalese works. Thank you.